Hey everyone, welcome to another Comicstorian Gaming Avengers overview, review, discussion, whatever we want to call these things that were initially intended to be weekly and then turned into whatever we hear news.
True.
My name's Benny, I am Comicstorian, and this is Comicstorian Gaming, and with me is Dylan, and today we're going to talk about the Hawkeye update, the information that was put out, why it's taken us so long to get to this video. Long story short, I was moving. And what is happening with the Avengers and news updates here at the channel. All today on Avengers Hawkeye in review. All right, well, you know what? Actually, before we talk about Hawkeye, I do want to talk about the PlayStation 5 situation. Like, this is actually part of the Hawkeye update.
Sure.
So with Hawkeye came out the PS5 version, and if you look at my Kate, well, you can't, well, he looks at my Kate.
Oh, am I supposed to be looking at? I was choosing a mission. Hey.
Well, I mean, you don't technically have to. What button on the keyboard opens up the menu, the character menu?
I don't know. Playing with
You play a controller too?
Yeah.
So I got a PS5 back in November, and there was no PS5 version of this game. And a buddy of mine, actually, you may know him from a lot of the stuff we do, Houston, he wanted to play more PS5 games. We saw the PS5 release was coming out. We said, you know what? Let's get the game on sale and let's give it a shot. And I wanted to talk about the PS5 real quick because remember all those theories we had that this game was 100% optimized for console and not PC?
Yeah, I remember because early on we were talking about how this was absolutely a next-gen game, and they were more than likely focusing on, optimizing it for next-gen and for console next-gen specifically.
Yeah. 100%. There's practically no load times. Everything is super fast, super smooth. I've run into no frame breaking, no tearing, no issues like that. There's still glitches in the game. I got stuck in a wall during one of our missions, but like generally, it is so much better on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I've seen some of the load times, and they're pretty nuts. Which, like, we had a conversation about this a few days ago, that, like...
We would already have been in the mission at this point. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, to be fair, like, we are... those load times that you've experienced, are those single-player load times, or are those during multiplayer as well?
Multiplayer, because I've done very little single-player, because I've done all a single-player... Like, in general, so I wasn't in a hurry for any of that stuff.
That would make sense, though, if you're playing with other people on PS5s and the hardware is exactly the same. But I just brought that up to say, like, we're playing on different machines. So, like, I don't know if your game is running off a hard drive or what it's running off of, but...
I think this was installed onto an external, actually.
Oh, yeah, then that's why it took so long then. I'm running off of an NVMe
I do have an
drive.
SSD, but I only put games on that I need to go fast, and I didn't even think about it. I guarantee this was probably on the external.
I can't hit this guy. Yeah, but that's like the one thing that that consoles absolutely are gonna have over PC for a while, especially if they're not tuning it to PC. Which well,
and that's the point I wanted to make. Like, this runs on PC, but on PS5, it just feels like
better.
That's what it was supposed to be on.
And that makes sense. I mean, games like these are definitely tuned towards console a lot. PC ports are just kind of historically not very good. And Nixis, who is in charge of the PC port, they've done like an okay job. I'm not like complaining or anything. I mean, it is not. Oh, that was an enemy. Oh no, that was you. How did you hit me?
Did I hit you? I don't even know.
But they've done a fine job. It's not super well optimized, but then again, like, not a lot of games are these days for some reason. Like, I was trying the...
I didn't even know it was at Crystal Dynamics. I thought it was Crystal Dynamics that handled all the ports.
No, it's Nixis. They handle all the ports for, like, all of the Crystal Dynamics games. So all the Tomb Raider games, the PC ports, those were handled by Nixis as well.
I've only played those on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So...
And they're fine ports. Like, they're pretty well optimized as far as I'm aware. They're used for benchmarking a lot. So, like...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This
is just... It's a wonky game. I mean, we're not going to hide the fact the game has had a lot of glitch and problems at launch. So they got a glitchy game and they're trying to optimize it to work on PCs in the middle of a console generation swap over.
Right. And it's just, I'm sure, like, you know, this game, we've talked a lot about how this game is kind of a perfect storm of nightmares. Like, there's COVID, just publisher, like, forcing the game to come out earlier than it was supposed to. Just a whole bunch of nonsense. Yeah, the console, like, weird, released too early thing.
Oh, just to speak on, because this is, for those who are first time watching one of our videos of this is more of a discussion about the state of Avengers and less about, like, here's our review, because we'll talk about that in a minute, but I do want to give a comment. I made a comment that this runs so much better on PS5, and, like, 2 or 3 people just want to argue how much they hate Avengers. I don't understand the audience that looks for and they're not even following me. Like, they're just looking for people who are happy about Avengers stuff on Twitter so that they can shit on it. And my favorite was, because I said, yeah, I'm sorry, they said that there was a lot of delays due to COVID and pandemic, and one of the guys that was arguing with me responded with, well, Dragon Ball Z Fighter and Shogun whatever, 2 fighting games, Samurai Showdown Shogun, whatever that one is, I didn't play that one. Mm-hmm. He's like, they didn't miss a single beat, and they kept going, and I Googled, and both those games came out in, like, 2019, so... Like, it's funny because what I'm getting at is the haters look for literally anything, any ammo that they can have to make a problem with Avengers.
Yeah, and it's I mean, it's an easy game to bully because it had a really, really, really bad launch. Nobody really played it, and it's just been rough ever since. And I mean, still, like, the state of the game, like, I've had a lot of bugs, just with, the normal stuff that's just annoying, like some of the mobility in traversal has always been annoying, but I've had stuff like right now, like, I'll pull it up real quick. The, the Future Wasteland mission chain that gets you the Hank Pym exotic artifact, I can't progress in it because it's not giving me the Maestro villain sectors that I need to complete to...
Yeah, that's a known issue. When this came out day 1 on PlayStation 5, one of the players that was helping us level up in a hurry over there, he was saying how they're not showing up for anyone yet.
Yeah, and, like, the workaround for that apparently is to disconnect your system from the internet, and then they'll show up if you play without internet, which is like, I don't want to do that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah. So the state of the game, like, is still a mess. But I feel like maybe we should talk about Hawkeye and this most recent update.
That's the next thing. So, well, let's talk about the story first, because that's going to be the biggest thing. Right now, one of the things I do think this game has going for it, while I find the gameplay a blast, I enjoy playing this with friends like you, like Houston, the story is definitely what keeps me, because the story in this I find really interesting, really fun, takes a lot of expected tropes and it breaks them up, and the fact that we combined Hawkeye with Maestro is like, what a story twist, It's
a bit strange, for sure.
Oh, I found a hole in the ground.
I personally, I thought the Maestro was kind of pointless. I don't really know why they threw him in there other to give Hulk a cool skin.
I will say this about the Maestro thing. Everyone likes to think of Maestro from the Old Man Logan story, and he had like a very small cameo, and that was all about Wolverine. Marvel has had this weird fascination lately with trying to make Maestro like his own person and thing. Yeah. He's got mini-series and continual stories, and they're all weakening him. Like, he's not this big badass. He's a guy that gets beat up by Old Man Logan without his healing factor.
Right.
Like, he's a guy...
like, in the story, you just, like, beat him up as Hawkeye, and it's like...
Yeah.
Okay. Like, what happened to the Hulk in this time period? Like, wouldn't he get stronger with all of the, sure, gamma radiation around? Nah.
Nope.
He just
what did you think about the twist, though, of, like, outside of the time bubble whole thing that they were trying to do? I liked that.
That was cool. Like, I thought it was interesting that, I don't know, I like the idea that we're progressing towards a point where S.H.I.E.L.D. and AIM are going to have to work together to stop something. And I like the idea of the Kree Sentinels and stuff. the biggest thing I like is that the goal right now is to avoid this future because I don't really like this area. It's very brown, and
it's just a browner version of the Utah area.
Right, like this game already has a problem with lots of brown. And
they put half the game in Utah.
Right. It's like, why? I don't want to play in brown in the desert all the time. And the areas that, like, the prettiest area is the most underutilized one, the one where the Thor iconic missions take place in. Like, there's, like, one mission that you do there, and then you never go back. It's like...
Oh, yeah, like the Scandinavian area?
Yeah, like, that's the prettiest area, I think. But, I don't know, I thought it was cool. It was a cool story beat. Like you said, like, what this game has going for it is its story above all else. I do wish that the operations, and maybe this is what the expansions are going to be, but it's like the operations thus far have kind of just been like regular missions that have some cutscenes before and after them. But I want more of the like cinematic campaign, like actually single player stuff. Like, you know, the escape sequences and stuff that we got during the campaign when you first play as Cap, or a lot of, Kamala has a lot of them. All more stuff like that, and I think that would really
Why can't they put that, like,
this.
on a multiplayer level? Like, that'd be cool.
I get that,
like,
it's like...
chase somebody.
I would be okay with, like, the introduction of the characters being single player only, because, like, I understand why stuff like that, like, cinematic timed, like, escape sequences would be tough to do in a multiplayer setting. Especially just because of how the game is built. But I don't want the introduction to a new character to just be like a normal mission. Like, that's boring. With like a cutscene before it. Give me like a cool...
Like what was it, the Hawkeye solo one, you mean?
Yeah, like both Hawkeyes, their introduction missions have not been like super great. Did you leave? Did you and all the bots leave while I'm doing this alone, by the way?
I can't find you. I'm with the bots, and I think they're following me.
Yeah, they're following you. Y'all are all the way over
So I'm just
there.
kind of running in circles with the bots.
Yeah, I just wish that, and maybe that is what... Because we talked about this on the roadmap on PSG, the other channel.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. And, it's the expansion, like the things that they listed for the War for Wakanda expansion doesn't really seem like there's much more there than an Operation had. So maybe
they did state that expansion is continually free, so I don't even know why they're calling it an expansion.
Yeah, I'm hoping that means that that maybe like the Black Panther story stuff is going to be more like the original campaign, and we'll get more scenes where all of the Avengers are together and they're all talking like an ensemble cast, because that's another thing that we've seen in the operation so far with Kate and Clint, is it's usually like the new character and one other character. And
that may have also been COVID.
Sure, but
a lot easier to get one guy to do a voiceover with the new actress or actor, you know what I mean, than it is to get the whole crew back
sure
together.
But like, that's, you know, I still want what I want, you know. Like,
right, no, I know what you want. I agree.
In an Avengers game, like that's a team, that's an ensemble, and I think this game works best when you have like all of the Avengers together doing stuff. Obviously, like with the Hawkeye stuff, Hawkeye and Kate and Clint being together, like that makes sense. That's why most of the story focused on them. But also, Hawkeye has like a storied history with this team of Avengers, and we really don't get to see a lot of that. Well,
so far, even with Kate, the only real back and forth we've had is we're sorry that it happened. We'll talk about it later.
Right, exactly.
When's later? I want to know when later
is. Is later audio files, or is later like an expansion that's going to expand on like the actual story? It's confusing, but...
Because so far we haven't gotten much of... Like, I feel like there's multiple story threads rolling at this point. We've had the hints and stuff about Wakanda, which is, we do know when that's coming together. We now have the Future Imperfect and the Scientist Supreme. We know that her story segment's dropping after that, but we're not getting another character. We're just got two Hawkeyes in the Avengers.
Yeah.
There's the plots from all the iconic missions, which all don't wrap up. Like, Thor's doesn't wrap.
Right,
Unless
for
I
sure.
missed something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty
because
sure
they don't even explicitly state Loki. They're just like,
I think no, they
be
do.
him.
They do.
Do they?
Yeah,
they
Thor's like,
explicitly say it?
brother or something, and because it's for sure Loki. I remember them. I'm pretty sure Thor like confirms that, but he gets away.
It's been a while since I did the Thor Iconic missions.
So I don't know. Like my overall thoughts on the Hawkeye like story stuff, I guess, is that I want more. I want more complex and like interesting, closer to campaign level story. That's something that I talked about at the beginning of this game. Was if the only way I'm going to be really interested in the future story stuff is if it's of the quality that the campaign was, and it hasn't been so far. So
it's been good. I think my biggest problem so far is that it's all been very short for how long we're waiting for each of these story segments. Honestly, like when I went through Hawkeye on the PS5, we blitzed through the game. We did the Kate thing, so I can unlock Kate, and I'm playing Kate on PS5. We did Hawkeye. It took us maybe an hour and a half. Like it wasn't long.
Yeah, it's not long at all. Hawkeye's like, especially because his was supposed to be like it seemed like it was being touted as the bigger one. Like Kate, you just get her in a couple missions, but Hawkeye, you're getting this new area and a new villain and everything. But it's
even his apartment area wasn't that great.
Yeah, it seemed like weirdly shorter than Kate's.
Yeah,
which seems like antithetical to what they were hyping it up to be. But
so let's talk about the fact that Kate and Hawkeye are pretty much the same.
Yeah,
which is what we all expected, and we're worried about
the gameplay stuff. So I think like to me, all of this comes down to something I said. I think in the last time we did a video like this, was just they should have released both of them at the same time.
Yeah,
I think staggering them like this was a mistake. And
because now we have two characters and we waited forever for them both, and they're the same basically. And very minor differences, but it's the same thing all at the end of the day.
The tough part too, and this is just a story thing that they kind of wrote themselves into, but like I don't know about you, but Kate is way more fun than Clint is.
Oh yeah.
Like
I'm trying not to let Houston know that because he likes playing Hawkeye, and I just want to be like, I'm trying to not let him know like Kate plays the same way but better.
Yeah, the same way, but you can teleport around and it's just so much more fluid. And like
yeah, he's got the grappling hook on Hawkeye, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's just like I will say higher level Hawkeye, sort of like Hulk. Higher level Hawkeye is a lot better than lower level Hawkeye. But it's still like the flow that you get into with certain other characters is just not felt with him. It's a lot of, like, at least the way that I've been playing him, is a lot like grouping enemies and using lots of AoE attacks to hit them up. Like this, the tripwire arrow that he gets is really fun. That's like the one thing that I think he has over Kate. Because you can just trip up a bunch of lower enemies and does a ton of stun damage to them. His lock-on is interesting. His, like, overcharge intrinsic, where it just turns on aimbot, basically. It's interesting, but you really have to build into it to make that useful. And right now, like, I don't have a high-powered Hawkeye right now. It's max level, but only power 70. And I haven't been paying attention to gear, so you would, like, really have to go all into ranged abilities, or ranged stats to make, like, his lock-on build, like, work. But yeah, Kate's just, like, more fun. Like, she has basically the same base mechanics, but also she can teleport, and you can build her in a way where you can literally be, like, overcharged forever. It's just so much more interesting than Clint has been so far. Oh, the Luke Goblin.
I don't know what this cargo guy is, but I'm kicking his ass.
Yeah, this is a new enemy type. We want to talk about that real quick. It's just a Luke Goblin.
Yeah.
They added that for no reason. You just kill it, and it... Oh, see, we ran out of time. It disappeared. Oh, wait, no, it's up here. It teleported. Cool.
It's got Kate's powers!
Yeah. Yeah, he drops a lot of loot if you kill him, but he just takes a while to kill, and he runs from you.
Am I crazy to want Kate to get these powers in the comics?
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like, she doesn't have this in the comics, so they kind of had to separate them in some way. And I was thinking about this, like, the comic designers clearly know how to design cool combat. Especially for characters that don't, like, have a ton to go off of. So I feel like Kate was just like their baby. They were just like, we're gonna make a character that we think would be fun, and we'll explain how she can do these things later. And I think that's why Kate is so much fun.
I love the story of, like, no one really comments on the fact that Kate can teleport now.
Yeah, I mean,
like, there's a brief thing of like, oh yeah, we got affected by these things. Oh, cool.
No, she's using aim tech. She's using the same tech that the adept people use to teleport around. She mentions that.
No, but what I mean, like, no one, like, yeah, but there's not like a big thing of like, oh, Kate now has abilities, you know, like.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not her abilities. She's just. It makes sense that they wouldn't question it, because at this point, the Avengers have been fighting AIM for so long and have been fighting adept keepers for so long that, like, they're used to seeing people teleport around.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So, that doesn't bother me at all. Like, from a comic perspective, if she just, like, gained the ability to teleport and it wasn't explained, yeah, that would be like, what? But in this world, it makes a lot of sense.
It's one of those things where in the comics, like, they'll run into some villain, like Taskmaster with all these abilities or whatever, or not Taskmaster, but like a villain who has a lot of, like, tech. Right. And you're always like, why don't the characters like Hawkeye and Black Widow take that tech?
Yeah. Like, and that's like the question of, like, why doesn't everyone wear an Iron Man suit? And
yeah.
That's, I think there is
they're like, no.
There is a universe where that's a thing. But yeah, I don't know. What's your you kind of agree? Hawkeye's just not as fun to play.
He's not as much fun. I goofed around with him a little bit, and I'm like, it just feels like Kate, but not as much fun. So, like, Houston's playing as Hawkeye, and I'm just like, well, I'll be Kate because I like her on PS5, and I was like, I'll just level her there since I didn't finish leveling here on PC.
Right.
You know.
And
the last thing I want to talk about, though, is the Maestro situation. They hyped him up. They showed him off. That's what the big thing was, only for him to just be the guy in the throne at the ending and then get beat up by both Hawkeyes, basically, as far as the story is concerned.
Right. It's not.
What did you think?
I think I kind of mentioned this earlier. I'm just going to throw us in one of these missions. Where's Enter the Avengers? Here we go. I mentioned this earlier, that he's kind of like, he doesn't have much of a point to him, and I think I don't really know.
He's also defeated in a way where I don't expect him to come back.
No, I mean, the whole point is to avoid that future. So the only way he'll come back is if he jumps through a time portal and we have two Hulks running around, or if we actually get to that future at some point. But I don't know, like, I feel like I saw someone mention that I haven't read Old Man Hawkeye, but in Old Man Hawkeye, I guess Bullseye is, like, the main villain that he fights.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a better pull to use, mostly because it would have been a better boss fight, probably. And, like, the boss fights in this game aren't great to begin with, but Maestro is different from Abomination, but also he's not.
Yeah, it's like I feel like they knew the Hawkeyes weren't going to get a lot of traction, but they knew the combat could be fun, so they were like, well, we'll put a Maestro in there as the selling point.
Yeah.
We're building up to Maestro so people won't give a shit for doing the Hawkeyes, you know.
Right. And it's just not, I don't know, it doesn't, it feels like, yeah, it definitely, like you were saying, it feels like a stunt thing. Like, Maestro's in the game, wow. And I was like, yeah, that's cool that they're doing that. But then he shows up, like, once you fight him, it's not like the boss fight just boils down to avoid the red. Like just don't get hit. Which is what basically both the Taskmaster and Abomination boss fights have boiled down to, which is just not interesting.
Well, I think that's why they're not getting too much flack for being buggy and hard to pull those up. Because, right, it's not that big. It's not like it's some exciting fight we all want to redo 1,000 times.
Like, I wanted to complete the mission that you need to do the Maestro Villain Sectors for, so I could get the new exotic, which people have been really loving. But I can't get it. So, what's even the point? It's very, and yeah, like it's not, like, the interesting boss fights I feel are the ones that aren't actual villains. They're the drone ones where you have to go and kill all the like batteries or whatever
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
The Abomination and Taskmaster fights are you're just shooting a bullet sponge, and you can't parry them really, especially if you're playing on the hardest difficulty. You can't parry like literally anything when you play on the hardest difficulty. It just won't let you unless you're playing Captain America. And
the stun arrow when I was Kate, the stun arrow actually affected Maestro. And we all just laughed about that.
Yeah. Like, you can make that... Like, I've shrunk Taskmaster and Abomination with, like, PIM particles before. Like, you can affect them in that way. But, like, a lot of the mechanics of, like, a lot of characters rely on parries and intrinsic abilities and stuff, and you just can't do that with those boss fights. And Maestro just, like, doesn't... He's no different. Like, it's...
Yeah.
I felt like if I would close my eyes and open them and it changed to Taskmaster or Abomination, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. If they just like reskinned him. He has different abilities, but I fought him once and it nothing like interesting happened.
I'm hoping that they're learning from this, and so that year 2, because I mean, year 1 at this point now is just going to be more story, no more characters. It looks like from what we gathered, Wakanda's next, and that's that. You know what I mean? We're going to get Black Panther.
Yeah. I think the game glitched while we're doing this.
Yeah, I noticed nothing is popping out.
It says defeat all enemies, but
look, the guns are out. I'm looking at them.
Yeah, there's no enemies. Okay, I'm gonna reset. Checkpoint real quick, but yeah, that is concerning. To be fair, like the roadmap does say on it, doesn't like this doesn't reflect all things being worked on right now, but I mean surely that just means Spider-Man and nothing else, right?
Yeah, well, Spider-Man they've said is still being worked on, possibly early 2022 at this point. But that also tells you, and when I got to do the behind the scenes briefing of the stuff they were going to announce as a creator, they were inviting me over to have a look at it all. They said outright everything that they wanted to do has been delayed 3 to 4 times as long as it should have been due to COVID.
Yikes.
Because they have to send it between all the people involved over and over and over, and these are huge files. This game isn't tiny.
Sure.
So I get that. I do wish they would be more public about that information. Like they pretty much haven't said anything to the public masses.
Are you by me? Do you see this Dreadbot glitching out like crazy? Oh, there it goes. Now it's fixed. Yeah, that is weird. Like
if that is legit, the problem is COVID has just gotten in the way. Regardless of everyone trying to, these other games did fine. Maybe they had different practices. Maybe they were prepared better. Maybe they're a game that came out a year before the COVID started. Regardless of all of that, they're stating that has caused 3 to 4 times delays. And if you look at when these 2 Hawkeyes are supposed to come out, that makes sense. It's about 3 times longer than we were expecting.
Right. Which, I mean, knowing that, like, and if they're going to stay in these, like, on that schedule, then yeah, we're most likely not getting Black Panther until the end of the year, which is not great. And, you know, so it's circumstantial and everything, it's hard to blame them, but also, like, I don't know, invest some money into infrastructure and get stuff. You know, tell everyone that you're taking like a month just dedicated to setting up infrastructure to make programming when everybody's not in a central location easier. And then they'll be back on track. Because, like, that's the thing is every time we make one of these videos, we're like, maybe they're back on track, and then they're not. And
well, I will say they at least have a plan for every month now. Like, April's going to be, we can be all the same character.
Is it that's not confirmed that it's every month? Because they said spring for those first 2 things, and then they said summer and beyond for the last 3. So
yeah, but if you look at the way the monthlies are planned out, like that could be that one, then Black Widow has to be May. Like that would just like if it's not May, that's a huge missed opportunity.
Well, it's
so I guarantee you.
They said it hasn't been affected by the movie delay, so I'm sure. And spring, like. I'm sure the next 2 things, like the Tachyon Anomaly and the Red Room Takeover, I think those probably are coming sooner rather than later.
May.
Yeah, April, May.
Because if you think about it, then that would put the Scientist Supreme chapter in June, and then that would put the Future Wastelands Open Patrol Zone in July, and then that would put August being Black Panther, which would officially be 1 year since launch.
Right. That's rough. That's not good play, especially when we were thinking originally we were going to get a character every couple months or every month even. Which, sure, they never said. They never confirmed that.
That was all leaks.
Yeah, but it's like I've heard also from like data miners that they're just straight up not working on certain characters anymore. Like there was work being done on War Machine, and now there just isn't. So it's like, are they only working on these things? Like if they're only working on this stuff and they're putting everything else behind them, then why is it taking so long?
I mean, I don't know, and I wish they would be more like all they're saying is COVID now, but at least they're saying that.
Yeah, but we've also been in COVID for over a year now, so like how have they not adapted? But like COVID started and the game wasn't out, so it's like you can say COVID all you want, but.
No, I agree, and I do feel, and I don't deny some places have used it as a full-blown excuse, and maybe they are. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's the perfect excuse. We'll just say COVID.
It's like, if that's the case, then yeah, they need to release statements of, like, directly, like, how this is affecting them. Not just vaguely say, oh, COVID, but, like, say, you know, before COVID, this is how long it took to do something. After COVID, now this is how long it takes. Like they mentioned to you in that briefing. But I don't know.
All right, well, I mean, we can ramble about what we think and speculation all we want. Why don't we at this point tell it? So, guys, if you like these kinds of discussions with me and Dylan and other friends of ours, we actually launched another channel here at Comicstorian Gaming. It's kind of become all about capes and pals. Over the years, Comicstorian Gaming has gone from Let's Plays to complete stories to top 10s to more lore to D&D, to goofy gameplays. And while we're going to continue to talk about Avengers over here and do goofy gameplays, both of those are not leaving this channel, and neither is D&D, we decided to move all the lore and the news discussions, meaning like every news drop will get a discussion instead of just when we have enough to talk about our Comicstorian Gaming. Go check out our new project, PlayStation and Steam Gamers, PSG. Yeah. And we are going to have the link to that down below. Like, we talked about this roadmap the day it was announced over there, and then I got stuck with the move, so we couldn't do this video for Comicstorian Gaming. But you know what I mean.
Get to things eventually. We're busy people.
Yeah. This channel is still just my fun hobby thing on the side that Dylan helps me out by being our editor. But the other channel is more intended to be our gaming news, gaming lore discussion channel for the people that still want that stuff, and I'm drowning it out with other content on this channel. So we decided to, you know what, let's just start over at a channel where that's all you're going to find. News and lore. Over and over and over.
Yeah.
Right, Dylan?
Yeah. And we're doing lots of fun stuff over on PSG, so check it out.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. We've got some TV shows to talk about for our TV show channel.
Different channel.
Different channel. We're watching too many channels, guys. That's what we do here now. We just decided if YouTube wants every channel to be one type of content, we will mostly do that on 8 channels.
True.
Thank you, guys. Don't forget to stick around if you want more D&D, Avengers discussions, and goofy gameplay videos. Go check out PSG for news and lore. And that other one we talked about, the TV shows, that is absolutely Marvel and DC. Thank you so much, Dylan. You're awesome. Thank you for carrying me, Mr. Level 50. And I will see you guys later.
Bye.